Welcome back to another episode 79 of the HOS F1 podcast. Now, as always, I'm joined by my co-host Adrian Huff. 79, interestingly enough, is also the percentage that Georgia had of getting into the college football playoff before they lost to Alabama. Oh, what a coincidence that is.
Damn it.
Oh, man. So, yeah, your team unfortunately crumbled a little bit. I mean, it was a good game. Just kind of had a bit of a choke job. But we can talk about the college football playoff and who deserved to get in and all that. But I want to quickly mention that the sweepstakes for Shohei Ohtani, by the time you hear this, it may be done. But the sweepstakes for arguably the best baseball player of all time has allegedly come down to two teams, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays. So if we get Shohei, and it would make sense, you would have an entire country to market to, and there's a big Asian Japanese culture here in Canada, so especially in Toronto. So it would make sense, but I mean, Los Angeles also has a lot of money, so we'll be following that closely on this side of the border. But in terms of the college football playoff, I know you pay quite close attention to baseball and you pay close attention to the Georgia Bulldogs, so that's why I brought these two up to start the show. What did you think of the four teams that made it? Do you think that the committee made the right decision, or do you think some teams got screwed?
Well, I think Florida State's probably the biggest team out there. I mean, that's tough because I've seen people saying, like, they'll post examples of, I forget the team, but it was when Georgia went up against a non-SEC team in the playoffs and just absolutely demolished them. But that team had 2 or 3 losses, I think, from that season, if I'm not mistaken. But this is just from a meme I saw, so I don't fully remember the actual data. But, I mean, it's tough because I don't really agree with that. But I can kind of see the argument. But you're basically setting a standard for certain teams and certain programs, I think, and you're very obviously saying which this is something I do agree with. I think the SEC is at a way higher standard than a lot of football programs, but yeah, for Florida State to not lose a single game this season and to not get to the playoffs is just unfair. That's telling them that you have no shot no matter what you do. And at that point, why even try? I mean, they've not lost a single game. And, you know, I know Bama only lost 1, but in their SEC, but still, I mean, it's very, very tough. I don't agree with that. It's
pretty unfair. It'd be like, I don't know, going for the championship in F1 and then in the last race, they're like, well, actually, you don't have a shot. Or like being up by like over 10 seconds with like, I don't know, 1 lap to go, and then there's a red flag, and then it gets taken. It'd kind of be like that. But yeah, pretty unfair.
It's Latifi's fault.
It's the Latifi spin. Go Tifi. But yeah, obviously with Florida State, their quarterback's injured. That's why. And the committee decided to choose what would probably be the more entertaining game. But like if they're going by what's the more entertaining game and they're going by like what the actual best teams are, like if the Vegas bookmakers were to be making a spread for each matchup, Georgia would have been like the top 4. They would have probably been favored against anyone in there, even Michigan. So it is kind of interesting, but I think at the end of the day, there was really only like one spot up for grabs, and it was going to come down to Alabama or Florida State. So it sucks for Florida State to go undefeated. But I mean, they played, I think, Louisville or someone last weekend and barely beat them.
Right.
So in terms of entertainment, it'll be good. Exactly. So for entertainment, it's not bad. And then next year, they don't have to worry about precedent because next year it's 12-team playoff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch at least. But definitely, if you're a Florida State fan, that would have been a tough kick in the nuts.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the 12 team because only having 4, I mean, Georgia would have for sure made it to the playoffs. You know, they made that one mistake, or not one mistake, you know, they messed up that one game. So, yeah, their chances are completely shot, which is understandable. I mean, they were really struggling that game. You know, Alabama has always sort of been that team for Georgia. They just can't seem to do it, and they still have not defeated Bama in Atlanta, which... I mean, if I was
tough.
I mean, obviously, I may look like I play football, but I never did. But if I was walking in there as a UGA student and I was not considered the home team like Bama was, I would be mad. That'd make me just fired up and want to win. And yeah, I don't know. That game was so wild because the first drive was like so electric for Georgia. It was like, I said to myself, I was like, oh, it's a wrap. Georgia's about to just and then it just instantly flipped. And Georgia was struggling so hard to stay in the game. And they almost did. If that one field goal had been made, we would have probably tied it. But I don't blame the kicker.
Yeah, damn kickers.
Damn,
to tie it back to F1 a little bit, who do you think Nick Saban is more reminiscent of in the F1 world? Toto, Wolff, or Christian Horner? Or someone else?
I'm going to say Toto
Helmut
Wolff.
Marko?
Just because based off of Alabama's reaction to making the playoffs, so mild compared to the reactions of some of the other teams, just a kind of a light golf clap, which I don't necessarily attribute that to Mercedes, but they have their freakouts. But if they're, if Mercedes, we'll get into this, if they decide to go to the F1 or FIA gala or whatever this week, if they win something, I'm sure it'll be a light golf clap from them. They're very professional. That's what I'm trying to say. Like Nick Saban, he doesn't like any of that, like showy.
It's kind of classy. There's an expectation of winning. That sort
Absolutely.
of we're gonna get to F1, promise. But other thing quickly, we had 2 really good trailers come out this week on different platforms. But Grand Theft Auto 6, I believe it is. Everyone's waiting for it. I didn't realize it's not coming out till like 2025. I thought it was coming out in like a month.
No.
But the trailer was unreal. They like recreated a lot of real scenes, like Florida stuff, which was really cool. But if you haven't seen that, check it out. And then for anyone that watched Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, season 2 trailer, for that dropped as well. So very, very exciting. Any thoughts on those?
I hope I'm able to attend my first F1 race before GTA 6, but I cannot wait to play that. Oh my God.
Oh, I know. It looks unreal. So yeah, we have that to look forward to. But to get to F1, we have a first in the history of the sport. This has never happened before, unless I read a fake news article. Never in history has the Formula One grid remained unchanged from one season to another. But that looks set to change in March in Bahrain. Because Williams has announced that Logan Sargent will remain there next season. So, yeah, there's going to be 2 garages that rebrand with Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri. But according to this, until now, there have been at least 2 driver changes every season since the start of the World Championship in 1950.
That's crazy.
So, I don't know if that means 1 out, 1 in. But yeah, very interesting news. I don't know. I think it's kind of been one of those things where we wouldn't have been surprised either way. The fact that it worked out that Logan Sargent got re-signed makes sense. But also if it would have been announced that he wasn't re-signing, that would have made sense as well.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying. So as the lone American on the grid and as the lone American on this podcast, how do you feel about Logie Bear being back?
Oh, I'm stoked for Logan. I was hoping they'd renew him, but I also could see them potentially going with somebody who's been in the reserve driver role for a lot longer. But you don't know the story with some of these guys' contracts. Like the biggest name in all of the Twitter polls and all that was Lawson, but Lawson and Red Bull both said that they had no desire for him to go to Williams for a season at most. So that was never in the cards. Felipe Drogovic, he's maybe waiting for Lance Stroll to be out. He's hoping to get a seat at Audi. Or wait, not Audi, at Aston Martin. I'm getting Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin mixed up. I didn't know Alfa Romeo was going to be rebranding this season, actually. I know you mentioned that. Do we know what they're...
Yes.
Is it just Sauber?
It says here, Alfa Romeo dropping its sponsorship of Sauber. So I don't know if that means that they're changing names or not, but rebranding, I guess.
Because I know...
Dropping its sponsorship of Sauber. I mean,
because
again, this could be
the team
article.
Sauber owns the team. Like Sauber's the...
Right.
So I don't know if they'll just go back to being Sauber, because I'm pretty sure that was when Charles Leclerc was a rookie. I think he was just on Sauber F1, and then they rebranded to Alfa Romeo. So interesting to see, because I know they're going to be changing to Audi or Audi Sauber, Audi F1, whatever the case is. That's going to happen in 2026, pretty sure.
So Sauber teased surprise new F1 team name after Alfa Romeo exit for 2024. So yeah, it's kind of the other way around. Alfa Romeo is out. Sauber is keeping the team. While we're on the topic of Alpha, did you see Zhou Guanyu's new hairdo?
Yes, I also saw.
He's catching a lot of flack for it online, which I think is stupid too, but quite the look. You did cornrows for anyone that didn't see it.
It's definitely a look.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserves to get as much hate as he is, but I obviously would never do that myself. Can you imagine?
No.
No.
I think that might be the punishment for next year. One of us loses, we have to get cornrows.
Oh my God. Are we even allowed to do that?
I think we'd be promptly canceled.
Yes.
It's one thing for anyone else to do it, but for a white guy, I think it's a tough look to pull off for many reasons.
Unless you're Chet Hanks.
Yeah. If you want to talk then patois all the time, maybe you get a pass.
Oh
But
my God.
we also had a announcement of the sprint races, sprint, and right off the bat, you guys over there in America are getting 2 sprint races. We've never had a single sprint race in Montreal, Canada. So a little frustrating about that. You guys just get 2 sprint races, Miami and US. But to go down the list, we got the Chinese Grand Prix, the Miami Grand Prix, Austria, United States Grand Prix, so COTA, Brazilian Grand Prix, and the final one is Qatar Grand Prix. So yeah, overall, I mean, they're kind of getting the right tracks, it seems like.
Yeah.
They're narrowing down to the right tracks, and there's potential talk of a switch up in format. The race has reported that reversing part of the grid is still under discussion. The final sprint proposal will be presented to the F1 Commission in January, and they already changed the weekend format, as we discussed previously.
Right.
So, yeah, we will see about that. Any thoughts on the 6 chosen ones for the sprint that I know you're such a big fan of, sprint weekends?
Listen, we've been saying we've wanted a reverse grid since the early in the 2022 season. So I just got to say we've been not only asking for this, but I think we called this if it does end up happening, especially you were the first one to bring it up. So hopefully that happens. The only one, I mean, I understand. I don't think it makes sense to have 2 sprints in America unless it was just for scheduling reasons. Personally, I think the US GP in Austin is a good sprint race. I am not against that at all, but I kind of want Miami just to be the regular format. But, I'm never going to complain about extra racing, I suppose. But yeah, I hope the reverse grid actually happens at least once at one sprint race this upcoming season. I don't know. It's been so long since we've raced in Shanghai or China. I just don't see it as I don't know. I just don't understand why they chose that for a sprint race.
My guess is that they're trying to make up for lost time and give them more racing because they haven't raced there in so long.
I could see that. And
that'd be my guess.
I'm not gonna hate on that because obviously if longtime F1 fan wasn't able to go to my GP for a long time just to, because of whatever reasons, I wouldn't turn my nose up at a sprint either. But I'm just happy we're racing in China because I really, really enjoy that track. And it's made for some very quality racing in the past, especially if you're a Sebastian Vettel fan.
Yeah. Which you are.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned there might be some people mad. There also might be some people mad in Barcelona, as I make a transition here, because the Spanish GP venue is reportedly going to move from Barcelona to Madrid, as organizers in the capital have agreed to a deal with F1 starting from 2026. So when we get the new regulations, Barcelona has been on the calendar at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya since 1991. Someone very special to this podcast was born in 1991. And for many years, it has also hosted preseason testing. Well, used to host preseason testing. So pretty big spot on the calendar. Kind of, personally, I don't think this is actually going to happen. I mean, I could be wrong. They could announce it tomorrow. Just seems like Barcelona, Catalunya has such a strong grip on, like, such a stronghold spot in the calendar. It's a good track. They just changed the final chicane thing to make it better. Alonso and Sainz, 2 Spanish guys on the grid. I can't imagine them wanting to switch this up for another street circuit. What do you think?
I imagine a street race in Madrid would look very cool, but I don't think I'm for it at the cost of taking off one of the most iconic circuits on the calendar. I definitely don't think the drivers are going to, or at least most of them will be very supportive of this because, I mean, I don't personally want another street race and I don't want it to replace a great track where, again, great racing always happens. So unless you're Mercedes. But Yeah, I think it's extremely unlikely, even though this change is not happening next year, right? It's in 2025, or is it supposed
26.
Oh, 2026. Okay, so it's going to take a lot of research and development if they're going to want to actually get this happening in downtown Madrid, which I think would be crazy. I don't think they've said it's for certain going to be leaving Catalonia, but I feel like they need to work out some sort of a deal because I would like it to remain there.
Yeah, maybe it's just sort of like a, can't think of the right word, but kind of like posturing to get them to threaten to sign a deal. It's kind of like, oh, well, we're going to leave if you don't sign a deal, something like that. Who knows?
Bluffing.
Yeah. We'll see. Calling their bluff. So the next topic, Charles Leclerc Ferrari extension? Question mark? You actually told me about this one, so I will let you speak on it.
Yeah, so of course this is all rumors. Nothing is 100% confirmed about this, but allegedly Charles Leclerc is potentially negotiating a multi-year deal, a multi-year deal, potentially extended to 2029. So one extra year than Max Verstappen is currently signed to Red Bull, which if he did sign a contract of this length, I think would solidify him as one of, if not the biggest Ferrari legend. And if he manages to get a world championship at some point in that process, whether it be drivers or constructors, then it will be guaranteed solidified, because I want this to happen. As frustrating as Ferrari is, I have faith they will at some point get it together. And Charles Leclerc is a generational talent, so what better team to do it with? Obviously, that's his favorite team. So much history with them, not only just as a team, but with Leclerc and his family. So, yeah, super supportive of this. On the opposite side, in the other garage, Carlos Sainz is allegedly asking and negotiating for a 2-year deal, a 2-year extension. And again, can't stress this enough. Allegedly, Ferrari are only wanting to offer him a 1-year deal. Maybe they have other plans, who knows? But if they can't figure it out, who replaces Carlos Sainz? Because he clearly wants that Audi seat in 2026.
Question. I remember, as I say, there's rumors that he's going to Audi in 26, so it kind of, that timeline perfectly matches up. I don't think it makes much sense for Ferrari to keep him for one more year and then in the last year of regulations to bring someone else in. Kind of seems pointless. Like,
yeah,
I don't really know, unless they can poach like a Piastri or something. But I'm hoping that Mercedes can poach Piastri after Lewis retires, so I can just keep my Mercedes love. But I don't know. It seems like a no-brainer to go back to Charles. Kind of a no-brainer for both sides. He's, as much as I think Sainz beat him this year in the standings, he is their golden boy. And once they get a car that can be reliable, I think he is their best shot. Not to take anything away from Carlos, but I think it makes sense. Charles should probably spend his whole career with Ferrari,
if possible. And his driving style suits the type of car that Ferrari make. And I saw some sort of post recently that when the car was when the setup suited Leclerc's driving style, Leclerc was out qualifying Sainz by like anywhere between like 0.3 and 0.8 seconds per lap. I don't know if that was quali pace or if that was race pace, but
it's a big gap.
Then later in the season, obviously, is when the upgrades and stuff were they were causing Leclerc to not be able to drive exactly how he's used to. So then that's when it sort of shifted to Carlos Sainz, because I mean, Carlos was able to adapt to that car pretty well, but Leclerc was having a lot of issues because from both sides was a miserable car, even though they almost secured P2. They weren't able to do that.
So strange. Like, it's going to go back to when the regulation started in 22. The first half of the year, they were the best car. Like, they were. It's crazy that they really kept on backwards. Like, the opposite of McLaren. But another, I don't know how crazy this story is, but it's kind of taken on its own life, is that it was announced, and I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I get it right. The FIA announced it was looking into an allegation of an alleged conflict of interest between an F1 team principal and a member of Formula One media personnel after concerns were raised over what information was being shared between the pair. While the FIA has chosen not to name the pair, a recent unsubstantiated report from a media outlet claimed it was Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff and F1 Academy boss Susie Wolff. Mercedes and F1 have released damning statements in response to the shock investigation, wholly denying the allegations. Susie Wolff and Toto both released statements. Susie Wolff, some of it I'm going to read, issued a statement. She adds that she is, quote, deeply insulted, but sadly unsurprised by the allegations made, which she has rejected in the strongest possible terms. She says that it is, quote, disheartening that my integrity is being called into question in such a manner, especially when it seems to be rooted in intimidatory and misogynistic behavior and focused on my marital status rather than my abilities. So pretty strong words there from Susie Wolff. My favorite couple in F1. They're so much better than Kristen and Ginger Spice, and their son Jack, adorable. So I am vehemently on team Toto and Susie, and now all teams, since this strong denial. Also, I don't even know if there would be anything illegal about a husband and a wife telling each other things. It's like you can't testify against your significant other. But anyways, all teams have now come out with statements denying that they were the ones that brought this allegation forwards. And the fact that it's gotten to news media outlets means that it is some sort of actual investigation, it seems like. It at least got to the level of being discussed within the FIA or whoever does these investigations. The FIA announced it was looking into. So, I don't know. I think this is a very strange story, and it sucks that Toto and Susie kind of got dragged into this. I think there's going to be more to come out of it, but all teams, now the story is kind of becoming, sort of was a buzz today because all the teams are coming out with denials and kind of a little bit holier than thou behavior. So from a non-Mercedes and Toto / Wolff family lover, what is your, not that you're a hater, but I'm a little bit of a drink the Kool-Aid for them, you could say.
Absolutely.
What is your take on the story? Is it a nothing burger? Is it something that we need to wait on? What do you think?
We're definitely going to have to wait and see, because I think this is a snowball that is actively rolling and getting bigger and bigger. Because having all these teams now made statements, it's very clear that either someone's lying, one of the teams, which I honestly don't think is the case. I don't think all these teams would be making these statements if it wasn't just like, yep, obviously did not do that. Or Ben Sulayem, the FIA CEO or chief officer, whatever his title is, he could be in some deep shit, because if he is making these allegations just based off the word of one journalist who works for some phony sports site, then he's in some, like I said, he is in hot water if that is the case, because you cannot just toss these sort of allegations around. I mean, Toto and Susie have been married for a very long time. They've both have been in motorsport for probably as long as I've been alive, probably longer. So I think it's really ridiculous. I mean, I don't think they have any reason. I mean, being married is not a conflict of interest, and I don't know what information could have been transferred that would have been beneficial in an unethical way. So it just seems like total nonsense to me. The FIA are full of rotten, corrupt pieces of shit. Arguably cost Lewis Hamilton I wouldn't even say arguably, Lewis Hamilton's 8th championship. As much as I love Max, they took that from him, and they've just been consistently, pieces of shit. I mean,
MA, FIA.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm for sure, unless some crazy news comes out, definitely on Toto and Susie's side on that one.
It's interesting to me, though, that now that I'm rereading the wording of it, that I don't know how Toto and Susie would even be the alleged people, because it's an alleged conflict of interest between an F1 team principal and a member of Formula One media personnel. Susie's much more than just a member of Formula One media personnel. She runs the entire, I forget what the name of it is now, but the academy. She's like a part owner of the team. She's like very, very, very involved. So a member of Formula One media personnel, I don't think that's what it would be considered if it was Susie. So I don't know how that is sort of where people jump to.
It's confusing.
I don't know. Maybe that freaking guy that tweeted out that stupid stuff that started all the rumors, and then Alonso was like, "You're gonna pay for this."
Oh yeah,
remember that stupid guy? He's a Formula One media personnel. Maybe that guy's gonna get in some hot water. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice.
So yeah, this weird story. It's either gonna be one of those ones that just Homer Simpson in the bushes just kind of disappears and we never hear about it again, or it's gonna snowball. Who knows?
Yeah,
but yeah, sort of a weird story, and I don't like them coming after the Wolffs or the Hamiltons.
Yes.
Okay. We've been through enough. It's been a tough year.
It has been a very tough year, but something I don't think we've even fully discussed, and I don't know where I put my, right here. I have the two individuals' names. The chief technical officer of Mercedes, James Allison. I don't know if you're familiar with these two gentlemen, James Allison
Absolutely.
and Mike Elliott.
J.A.
Yes. So Mike Elliott has had the job for 2 or 3 years now. And in that time, he has designed Mercedes' shittiest cars. So,
and James Allison
is returning to the role this year. So
as the
I
man
think
he was our Adrian Newey. He's our Newey.
He is. He is Mercedes' Adrian Newey, absolutely. So, I mean, I feel like it's really going to put it to the test this time. I feel like it's obviously a good decision for Mercedes. So, big hopes for next season, because I feel like we could, even though everybody's saying that Red Bull's got a crazy advantage, I mean, it's not going to be that crazy, I don't think. We're not going to have another season like this one. Max still could win, but it'll be closer to 2022, I think, than 2023.
I don't think we'll ever, as long as we live, see another season like we just had. That was the combination of a car being so dominant plus a driver being so dominant.
And his teammate being not so dominant.
So much better than his teammate. Yeah, I think that all those factors coming together. Like, what do you mean, 19 of 24 races? 19 of 23.
Yeah, something.
Perez won 2 or 3, Sainz won 1, and he won the rest. Like, absolutely insane. So, I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, but
nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, so it can only be closer, but hopefully there'll be at least a battle. I mean, Ferrari, you never know what to expect, but Mercedes should certainly get better in the offseason. McLaren should certainly get better. They keep on their track, and then after that, who knows? There's usually one surprise team. Like last year, Aston Martin came out of the gates hot, so we'll see. But for those people looking for some F1 content to watch or some motorsports stuff to watch over the break, I saw a little article that had some good things. Just a couple ones. A reminder that the Brawn, the Impossible Formula One story, is now streaming on Disney Plus. I watched the first episode. Very good.
Same.
I'm not gonna lie. It took me a little bit to I kept kind of laughing to myself about how Keanu Reeves' narrations and just how he would do the voice. He'd be like, Ross Brown would be talking about it and he'd be like, "Oh, why did they call you the 1 pound team?" It's like, well, he always just words it in such a as if he's doing a voiceover, but he's sitting right beside the person. So I kind of had to get past that. But aside from that, the footage and all the interviews they did get, amazing. So people definitely check that out.
There's
movie Rush.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead. It's about Braun.
I was just gonna say, there's this one moment where Ross Braun and his partner at Braun GP were sort of reenacting a moment where they were going into a serious meeting, and they get out of the car and then they're recreating it basically like they would in a documentary, and then they walk in and the person in the meeting is Keanu Reeves, and then they just sit down for the interview. It made me laugh so hard. I thought it was so funny. It's so cheesy, but it's really good. Like you, I've only seen 1 episode so far, but definitely going to keep watching it. The information, it's an F1 documentary, but so it's I would say it's a little bit more informational than Drive to Survive, but it's very, very good. So highly recommend. Just based on
also Bernie Ecclestone, just off episode 1. Bernie Ecclestone is such a fucking asshole.
I hate he's in this documentary.
I don't want to talk shit about the dead, but what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Was. Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. What a dink. Just has nothing good to say about anyone.
No.
Oh, and then that one Ferrari guy who just still is not over it at all.
Oh, Felipe Massa? Yeah.
No, not him too. The guy that was I forgot, I don't know where he was.
Oh yeah, he was the CEO.
Ross Braun's boss or something at Ferrari when he left Ferrari to go to Braun, and he's still so salty about it. Jeez, man, get over it.
Highly recommend.
I knew they were cheating. Yeah, very, very good. There's so many good storylines. We'll do a recap of it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Another movie to watch is Rush. Rush perfectly encapsulates the famous battle between Niki Lauda and James Hunt and is a faithful recreation of the 1976 season. Good movie. It was like recreated with Hollywood actors and stuff. Really good movie.
Yes.
Senna is another really good documentary. It covers his life from 84 to 94 when he unfortunately passed.
Fantastic.
And then another one that's very good is called Williams and Mansell, Red 5, a feature-length documentary charting the rise of racing driver Nigel Mansell, the Williams F1 racing team, and how they came together to fight for the F1 Drivers' Championship in 1992. So those are a few things to watch. In January, season 10 of the electric racing series, Formula E, kicks off, and their first race is, what's the name of the track? The one in Mexico? Forget the name of the track. But anyways.
I'm blanking. Sao Paulo?
Yeah.
No, that's Brazil. Son of a bitch.
Fucking moron, I'm doing this podcast.
Such an idiot.
Whatever, it'll come to us the second we stop recording. There are also some big events, such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, which is on the 27th of January, and NASCAR, if you're a NASCAR fan, begins at the start of February. You can also go back and watch old races on F1 TV. And YouTube has some really, really good recaps of seasons.
Yes.
The Silver War, and there's one creator that's done a bunch of them. I know we've probably sent each other the same video like 10 times.
Yes.
There's a couple of those season recaps on YouTube that are just unbelievable. I don't know how people did them, the edits and everything. So, yeah, that's a few things to check out. I mean, we're going to come back. Our next episode is going to be a season recap episode. Probably we're thinking of switching to once every 2 weeks, kind of until there's really more news breaking. But if anything happens, we will hop on. I'm going to quickly. I've got something for you people. Sorry to keep talking for, but I've got something here. We have our first sponsor. The HOS F1 podcast is our first sponsor, and I'm going to do our first ad read. So bear with me here, okay? I don't know if you know this, Adrian, but sports betting has rapidly risen in popularity, and I want to connect you all. I want to connect you all with an opportunity to get started or get ahead. Having multiple sportsbook accounts is the most simple way to maximize your profits, and there has never been a better time to sign up. When you visit our page, signupexpert.com/HOS, that's signupexpert.com/HOS. We'll put that in the description and whatnot. You'll be connected to all the sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. All of these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through our link, you will automatically receive the top offer at each one. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful sports betting. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/HOS and put in the minimum amount. I think it's $20 you just have to put in. Make a bet with that $20.
Play some bets.
Or you can put in more. But yeah, play some bets, make some money. We'll be, when the season comes back, obviously we'll be doing a weekly kind of betting segment on the show. But yeah, I've been getting into the betting a little more now, getting back into it, and it is a lot of fun. I'm going to teach Adrian how to do it.
Yes.
But you have some different laws. So depending on your state or province, there's some different laws, but there's always options. So please go check that out, signupexpert.com/HOS. Adrian, back to you. Anything on your mind that you'd like to get off your chest before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm going to briefly talk about some of those shows and that F1 media that you brought up. But when you go to the link, you can choose your region. So if you're in the US, you can choose the United States. If you're in Canada, vice versa. So yeah, click the link in the description, guys. But before we sign off for today, I would like to say the Senna documentary is excellent. I know we briefly talked about it quite a few months ago, but really, really good. The Schumacher documentary made by, I believe, the same producers, and it's a Netflix documentary, also amazing. If you are new to the sport, or even if you are a longtime fan, it is so awesome. Some of the footage that they've upscaled, and it's just riddled with even like behind the scenes stuff. Like you see parties of some of the F1 drivers that happened in the 90s and early 2000s. Like it's just such a nice peek into F1 history. So highly recommend Schumacher and Senna. Both of those are amazing. Rush, I actually have watched recently since starting this podcast. Watched it with a couple of people. It was amazing. I really, really like that movie. I cannot remember the creator that I watched who made the video that I'm referencing, but there's also some really, really great video essays on YouTube about Niki Lauda. Highly recommend you do your research about him because he is one of the most badass guys in the sport. Like I mean, rest in peace. Obviously, he's responsible.
He's your favorite driver's favorite driver.
Exactly. Yes. He's the reason Lewis Hamilton is now currently with Mercedes and have had all the success that they've had in the past. So rest in peace to him. But yeah, that movie is really, really excellent. The YouTuber you were referencing, the cannot remember the name, but the documentary is called The Silver War.
Flows.
So it's
Flows or Flaws? Flows?
It's something like that. But if you just type in F1 The Silver War, it's got a couple million views. It goes through the 2016 season when Nico Rosberg, not going to give it away. Well, you know, everybody knows what happened. Nico Rosberg just barely managed to edge out Lewis Hamilton in the championship. It's the only driver's championship he won.
Oops. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Flows. Floz. Flows.
There we go.
Floz.
So yeah, check that
or
out.
Or Z, as you guys say there.
He's done multiple documentaries. He's done some. He did the one the following year when it was more of, instead of Lewis and Nico, after Nico retired, it was more of a Seb versus Lewis. So a lot of really, really
what was
great
the year
content.
that Ferrari got caught cheating?
That was Leclerc's first or second year at Ferrari. So that was either 2018 or 2019. If you look at the standings for the constructors for both years, it's very apparent because they dropped hard. They dropped to like 5th in the constructors. I don't know if that was 2019. I believe it was.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
Just a quick Google search. Looks like it was 2019. Yeah.
So yeah,
there was an interesting thing in the Braun doc though about how the double diffuser, which I never really understood, but they do a good job of explaining. So yeah, in order to understand what we're talking about, please go watch that because we will do a recap, probably a video on its own of that at some point. But yeah, that's about it I think for this week.
Yep.
You want to get us out of here?
Yeah, let's do it. Next week, you guys, I think we're gonna come back with an episode next week, and then after that, we're gonna go to the every 2 weeks, but we're going to continue making content. Make sure you check out our TikTok at HarderSoftF1. Make sure you follow us on there. We're going to keep posting clips, but we're also posting like funny content and memes and stuff like that. And also just really cool moments from racing in general. If you want to check out we're trying to just generate a little racing hub over there. So follow us over there. And also going to be doing some video essays myself about F1. I'll either be posting that to my own personal channel, which is just my name like it is on screen, or it'll be posted to this channel. Either way, if you follow us on Twitter or TikTok, they'll both be shared there. So you'll be notified once that video goes up. And besides that, guys, check out the link in the description and subscribe, favorite the show, give us 5 stars, and we will see you next week for the 2023 season recap.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.